Hi, this is Tim Sanders, founder of the OMNIA Radiation Balancer. Pretty soon there will be 5G masts going up all around us, and we want to make sure that you're giving yourself the best protection on the market. Our solution is unique. We use a new source of energy from the fifth dimension to balance radiation fields on any device, making it safe to use. Our results show that this structures water, it balances the blood, and it keeps your body super strong. And yes, it works on 5G. The energy in the patch never runs out, so count up all the radiating devices in your life, stick one on each, and you're done. Click on the link below and you'll soon be bringing balance and strength back to your body. Thank you.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Portal to Ascension. How's it going out there? Neil, are you sending John in for us, or how is this working?
Yep, you're live. John's coming in.
All right, awesome. That music was amazing. I don't know how many of you guys just appreciated that as much as we did. I mean, it gave me the chills. That was amazing. Yeah, so there's John. I see him now.
All right.
How's it going, John?
It's going great, T. Weiler and Aaron. I love you guys.
Yes. You ready?
You guys are serious. Yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Let's do it. Awesome.
All right. I'm gonna give you a brief little intro, and then we'll get into what we're gonna talk about today, which is, I believe, tools for Ascension, which I think is the most important thing we need to be working on right now.
That's it.
So for those who don't know, John DeSouza is a former FBI special agent. He worked counter-terrorism and paranormal cases for over 25 years. He was also an attorney and maintained a top secret security clearance during his time in the U.S. government. John collected true life X-Files that were used on the highly popular show, The X-Files. He also shares many of these cases in his best-selling books and his worldwide presentations. And I believe what we're getting into today is actually going to be covering some of the stuff from one of your books, Clear Hearers, which I always have trouble saying. So anyway, how's it going, John? What's going on today, brother?
Oh, it's going great, real good. I am, busy traveling all over the world with these presentations and helping people to understand these tools for ascension, as I'm putting it today, and just helping people to understand these things and to use them for themselves, because that's the most important thing. There's always been a lot of people out there who are selling. I'm not showing up. Okay. I'm not showing up on the screen, guys, for some reason on the feed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, there we go. I'm like, is that our end or?
Yeah, like I'm not even showing up in the corner. Whatever.
Now you are.
You're on there now.
Okay. Guys, there's always been people who sell Ascension to people and for big money, and of course most of those people end up asking for their money back because they don't ascend. And the reason for that is because of something that Neil Gower explained to me, which is that we cannot sell Ascension to people. We cannot give it to them. We can only sell them. We can only share with them the tools for Ascension, and then they've got to do the work. They've got to do the work. There's no way around it. It's not just a little pill that you can pop and be like, hey, big pharma, hey, doctor, just give me the pill and yeah, I'll pop it and everything will be better. It's not like that. We can only sell them the tools for Ascension, as I've discussed with you guys in the past on your shows as well. And anybody who knows me knows that I share with people tools like para investigation, also not that easy to say, para investigation, which is a method of investigating for yourselves, for yourselves by using regular investigative tools and then penetrating into the truth of any mystery or unsolved crime or anything that's going on around you, especially now that we're living in an era of complete and total deception. So power investigation is one tool that I always talk about and that I always teach on. Another one is extra dimensionality, which is people to be able to reach out to alien visitors and to be able to get that communication going. But 90% of that particular tool is teaching people the difference between negative, malevolent aliens and benevolent and good benevolent aliens, the ones that want to help us and uplift us. So that's one of the big things there. But the easiest tool for ascension that I teach is clear hearing. From my book, The Clear Hearers, which is right there. And that's because it's an ability that you already have, that everyone has. Everyone has this ability, the ability to hear this great voice. And sometimes it's a small voice too, but it's this great voice that comes to you, and you know what it is because it's always clear, it's always positive, and it always has positive results for you in your life. And that is clear hearing, also called clairaudience. That's a French word that came from Joan of Arc, who was the first globally known clear hearer ever. She heard voices that she called it Mother Mary. She said it was Mother Mary, the mother of Christ, speaking to her and giving her advice and counsel and helping her to do things that helped her do impossible things. At a time when France was almost going out of existence, it was hanging by a thread. She became a military leader. She was a 16-year-old girl. She became a military leader for France and helped them to come back and defeat the English forces that had taken over 95% of France at that time. It was an impossible thing, but she attributes it. If you go directly to her writings, she attributed it, or the miracles she was able to do, to clear hearing. And so what I do is I do a study of historical clear hearers like Philip K. Dick. Philip K. Dick was another famous clear hearer who was able to get in contact with this great voice, and it came to him, and it became a major tool for ascension for him, just like Joan of Arc's voice. Socrates was another one. He was a historical figure who had this clear hearing ability and heard and perceived this great voice. But I also do investigations on the investigative level for people where I show them my own experiences. So that it's practical, clear hearing, where they see how it's done, how it can be done, how it can help them, and how it practically works. Because here's the thing: this great voice is always reaching out for you. It's always trying to speak to you. But the question is, will you listen? That's the only question. And you have the ability to listen to it right now. That's why it's the easiest tool for ascension that I know of at this time, because everyone has the ability and everyone is able to do it. Now, here's the primary ingredient, though. And this is what my investigations have shown. So I have to tell you, the primary ingredient is a strong emotional connection, a strong emotion. Some would call it the heart chakra being activated and reaching out. Others would call it crisis emotion. It's all of these different things, but it all comes down to there has to be a very strong emotional reaction in order to make the connection to the source of the great voice. Because what is the source of the great voice? You guys probably already know. It is It is a version of a higher self of ourselves. It's this version, and most of you guys know this already, just from having been exposed in this area for so long. It's this version of you that is in eternity already. It's already in eternity, and it looks back at you, at this present temporary version of you, and it looks back with love. It looks back and it wants to help you. But it's such a higher form of life, though. It is the version of you that stands in the breath of God. So it's a version that is such a much higher, a higher form of life that sometimes it has difficulty remembering what it was like to be a little human thing running around trying to get stuff and why that stuff was important. It doesn't remember that sort of thing. All it knows is what it connects with you through emotion. So that's why it has to use short phrases so that you understand. It has to use clear language, short phrases. It's not like voice hearers. Voice hearers are people who just hear these confused voices muttering, and it's not voices that help them. That's something completely separate, something totally different. And I explain that. I explain that in my book, A Clear Hearers, very carefully. But this version of you, it's kind of like an elephant trying to communicate back to an ant, because it was the ant a long, long, long time ago. So that's how you have to think of it. So that's why sometimes there's not full there's not full understanding between the parties. That's why there has to be short phrases, clear phrases, and that's why sometimes the source of the great voice doesn't completely understand the situation that you're in. And I can give you many examples of that. For instance, I had a crisis one time where it was a money crisis, where I needed I would say like $5,000. I needed like $5,000 for something, and so but I went into communication with the great voice, and I put in meditations and prayers, and I called upon the source of the great voice to help me with that. And I asked for I don't know, like $50,000. I asked for $50,000, a huge amount, just because I know that if it's going to provide me $5,000, then $50,000 is no problem. So I did that. I put that into meditation, and I put that request in, and about just a few days later, I received $5,000 and a little bit more, just $5,000. Now, why is that? Is that because the source of the great voice didn't understand the 50,000, or it figured that, oh no, that's too much money, I'm just going to give you? No, the reason is because what the great voice perceived the most was the emotional connection through the heart chakra. That's what was really clear to it. And that emotional connection was for $5,000, you see? So that's why I only received that amount, even though it would have been very easy for the source of the great voice to provide me with $50,000 at that time. So anyway, that's just one example of how that goes and how it works. I have many more examples of people who request things and do things. T.
Yeah.
Weiler?
I think that anybody going through this awakening has experienced something very similar to that. I know I personally have. We all have these things that we can't quite explain, or almost miraculous, but when we're doing things in integrity from the heart, you open yourself up to opportunities like that. But I do want to ask you, because there is another side to this coin. There are what some call faker spirits and false synchronicities, and I guess one of the big tools would be to know how to identify when you might be being deceived, because this does happen, and this can take you off your path. So it's really good to practice certain protection and stuff like that. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, because people, and this is one of the main reasons that people need to learn about clear hearing and how it works, because they need to learn discernment. Because why? Because the nations, and many of the major nations, they already have this technology that's called voice to skull technology. And they have actually used this in certain combat situations, one between the other. Like I think Russia has actually used it against the American embassy at one point, and it's also been foretold that at some point the nations or the cabal that rules over that has ruled over the nations until recently will use this technology to make Jesus appear in the sky and talk to everyone on the earth, because they have that technology. They are able to do that, and so for that reason, we need to learn what is the true voice, the true great voice, and what is not, because that stuff can be used against us at any time. We're approaching a transition in the world. We're approaching this transition point where the cabal is going to be thrown out of power. They're thrown out of power, but they're still going to be, bless you, whoever that was, they're still going to be in power. I'm sorry, they're not going to be in power, but they still will have power. They'll still have a lot of power, and they will still have the mainstream news. They'll still have control of all the worldwide corporate media, and they'll still have a lot of other assets and institutions under their control that they will continue to use against us all the time. So, for instance, even though we are now going into a transition where free energy is going to be provided, where free healing is going to be provided, but what's going to happen is we're going to get that stuff is going to be available to us, but we're going to have this worldwide media that's going to be telling us, you better not use that. No, it's going to long range. It's going to hurt you. It's going to it's going to hurt you. It's going to destroy you. And so you better not use it. And they still have a very far reach. Unfortunately, they still have that mainstream of humanity that still listens to them. And so that's why we need to get away from that as well. People just need to reject all mainstream media and just go with independent sources of news, because this is going to be used against us. And what good is it? People always say, oh yeah, we need that free healing. We need that free energy. Well, what good is it going to be if all the medical boards are going to be instructed to take away the licenses of any doctors who use the free healing technology and shut them down completely, and then go after anybody who makes that free healing technology available? It's going to be, and that's what we're going to be facing. So that's why we need to educate ourselves with discernment, T. Weiler, like you just said. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you mentioned them using the mainstream media as a tool for this. Voice to skull technology is very real. I've done a lot of research on this, and one of the things I came across during my research was that they actually program us through our televisions, which we know it's not just a message, but there's a specific frequency that comes across that can actually implant trigger words into our head. Basically, let's just say Trump or whatever word they want. They can, Trump's
already a trigger word.
Yeah, but what they do is through this frequency, it implants a trigger word in your head. And now when these people hear this word, there's an immediate emotional reaction that they can't describe. And this is what we're seeing being played out all over the planet right now. This is why it's important to turn your TV off. It's not just about, this stuff doesn't affect me anymore, but it's this frequency that's coming through that's affecting you that we don't see or hear.
We have one of the major assignments of all corporate media is it's this broad sort of attack on all of us to lower our vibration so that we cannot take advantage of any of the tools of ascension. That's one of their broad things. That's why you always see things being reported that are just pure negativity. It's just they'll report things, and it looks like news. It actually looks like news. They'll say they'll report things like, "Hey, look what this look at the rights that this homosexual group is getting. Look at this. You know, you Christians, you should hate them for this. You should hate them." Or they'll say, "Hey, look what these Christian groups are doing. You know, they're doing this. They're getting this." And so, you know, all of you other guys should hate them for that reason. You know, you should. That's the subliminal message there.
Yeah.
Or whenever they report on any particular tribe or group, you know, "Hey, look, black people are getting this. You know, so what do you guys think about that? You hate them for that, don't you?" You know, that's the subliminal. And they're constantly, that's what tribalism is all about when they're reporting tribalism and identity politics and all that. So they're constantly, and then of course there's always, and all the disasters and anything, you know, anything that is murder that bleeds, it leads because they need to overall do an assault on us to keep pounding down that vibration, to keep us always in that miserable sort of state, to keep us down. And that's another reason why T. Weiler, you're right. People just got to turn it off. Just turn it off and get rid of it.
I love your nicknames for us, T. Weiler and A. Ron. So that's
it, baby.
Everyone needs to call us that from now on.
And that's a great segue into, okay, so what daily practices, what can we do to get ourselves out of that low vibration and exist in a higher vibration so this stuff doesn't affect us, so we can hear that voice, so we can navigate our life without any without so much anxiety?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. One of the main practices is to go to Journey to Truth podcast and smash that alert button. Smash that alert button. You know, smash every button on there so that you get those notifications every day of what T. Weiler and A. Ron are doing, and do that and do that throughout all of alternative media. You know, get this stuff, get the notifications on them so that you don't have to depend ever on mainstream news, on corporate media to tell you what's going on. You know, that's the only way. I mean, that's one of the main ways. That's a daily practice that will raise our vibration, that will just, because once you become free of all that corporate media, man, it makes a huge, huge difference in the lightness of your soul, your spirit, of your intellect. I mean, it just puts you on a whole different level, and it helps so much. And that's a daily practice that we need to do, you know, in addition to our meditations, our daily prayers, things like that. But of course, you know, we need to attend to our intellect. We need to attend to our knowledge and what we know is true, because we got to change that frame away from corporate media. Always.
Yeah, it's just like, goes back to like, would you know about the virus if you didn't have a TV? You know, it's kind of like, where else do you hear about this stuff? Is through the programming. But yeah, and I agree with the meditation and everything. That's kind of the direction I was going with that question. There's something we can do hands-on. Meditating, we know, is helpful. You know, maybe change your diet. I don't know, as far as stuff like that.
Unplug from the matrix as much as you can. Get out in nature and get in touch with your inner life, your soul, as much as you can. Yeah. I would say those are the keys right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We have to live a human existence, not a machine existence. Yeah. You know, that's what that's about. There was a great philosopher from England, Neil. His name was Neil something, but he said, if you go to any major city and you look around, he says, just look around. He says, that's not a human existence. That's machine existence. He says, you have to go out into nature. You have to go out into nature, into rural areas. And that's where you see human existence. That's the way humans are meant to exist. And that's just so important for your mental health, for your soul health as well. And that's why that really matters so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anybody out there listening has any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat or come in with the Q&A. Any question for John? We have about 15 minutes left. Is there anything else you wanted to cover while we still have time, John?
Yeah, I see one of my good friends there they always ask me this because I always propose that we are facing one of the great things we're facing during these times of transition is one of the cabal's final cards when they get thrown out of power is going to be fake alien invasion, which they're going to do against all of us. And it's going to use technology that we saw used in 9/11 in New York City. And when I say going to use that technology, I don't mean airliners. That's not what I mean. I mean, they are going to use the things that really brought down the towers and the things that really made us see and think that we saw airliners going into those buildings. They're going to use all that blue beam technology, and they're going to use a lot more stuff for fake alien invasion. And the destruction is going to be real. It's going to be real destruction and death, but the aliens themselves are going to be fake. That's what it is. And so people always ask me if I have updates on that. The updates are that Fox News and CNN are going to be coming up with more reports very shortly. More reports on these Tic Tac videos. These Tic Tac videos that they got in 2004 and that are being spread around everywhere. And that's going to be a continuing thing. Where there's going to be more reports on new Tic Tac videos showing these top secret military drones. That's what they are. They're top secret that look like Tic Tacs and sailing over the ocean, zipping around over the ocean. And that is part of them of the cabal trying to take over ufology. And tell us what are UFOs and what is not. They are pretending that those military drones are UFOs, and they're trying to tell us. And now they've got mainstream media everywhere. You guys probably have seen these reports on Fox and on CNN and other places that they are now considering that these UFOs are real. They're real, and they show us what's really happening with ufology. And it's all a fake. It's all part of a just giant disinformation psychological operation to make us believe that they know what UFOs are and that they are able to tell us what the future is going to be with UFOs. And it's all a fake. It's all a fake. And those reports are going to be coming, more of those reports are going to be coming out very, very soon.
Yeah. Basically a limited hangout controlled narrative. And if people want to know more about what John's talking about as far as the Blue Beam, some people don't know. Research Project Blue Beam, and you'll find out everything you need to know about this technology. And I've even heard some people claim that they even have certain buildings pre-rigged with explosives to work alongside this Blue Beam technology, which might have been what 9/11 was. There is a question. Somebody wanted to know how they can get out of this negative mindset, which I think we already covered. Get into nature, just turn off the TV and really get to know yourself.
Do your own research outside of mainstream outlets.
But the one question, John, because we already covered that. Somebody wanted to know, how do you protect from Voice of God technology?
Oh, there's no literal way to protect from it, but the best way, the only way really to protect from Voice of God technology is to learn what the great voice, your own voice in a sense, but the great voice sounds like. When you're in the middle, and here's how you do it. When you're in the middle of a crisis, any crisis, doesn't matter what type of crisis, but some kind of crisis, you've got to reach out and ask for your higher self to help you and give you an answer. And you got to just do this sincerely and use the emotional energy that you've got from the crisis to send that message out, and then be still and be quiet and listen for that answer. And that answer will come. It'll come as a like a low, kind of far away voice at first. It'll be like a low, far away voice, but you will get an answer. You will get if your emotion is real, you will get an answer and you'll hear it. And then that'll be your first incident. And then you'll start to be able to distinguish what is the great voice and how it sounds. And then when you get, if you get that way, if you get voice to skull technology, you'll be like, okay, this is not my great voice. I know it's not. This is something else. This is an assault. And you're going to be able to tell. That's the way you protect against the voice to skull technology.
That's a great answer. And the next question actually will piggyback right off of that. So somebody wants to know, is this clear hearer, like, so being able to identify your higher self, that voice, is this the same as hearing, being able to identify an ET voice, like a benevolent ET as well? Or is this something totally different?
No, actually, according to Whitley Strieber, who I've heard talk about this exact thing, it's very similar. It's very, very similar, because Whitley Strieber has talked about many times about his communication with alien visitors and hearing their voices in his head and hearing them give him very specific instructions, what to do, what not to do, and how to command himself. And it sounded to me very, very similar to being in contact with your great voice. But the source was different. It was different because Whitley Strieber then followed the instructions of those alien visitors, and then was able to come face to face with the source of that voice. And so the short answer is it's similar, but different sources.
Yeah, that's good. That was a good question, because it's really tough to determine what's what, I've heard stuff, I've heard voices, and I couldn't tell you if it's my higher self or an ET. I don't know how to determine, but
that's why, and that's exactly why I have criteria set out in my book, The Clear Hearers, of exactly how this is the great voice, and the great voice, and one of the biggest criteria is that it is always something that is clear. It is not muttering, confused, and also it is positive to help you. It is positive to help you in some way, but it will always be positive to help you in some way. That's the major, major criteria of knowing that it is the great voice, your higher self as well.
Yeah. Is there any other questions out here for John? John, do you see a connection to ritual magic and the wearing of the mask or kneeling in submission?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very, very clear. If you study ancient religions and ancient history, it's very clear that the wearing of the masks is a symbol that comes from ancient times of people that you want muzzled, that you don't want them to talk, you don't want them to speak, especially on the source of power that is enforcing the masks on you. That's very clear. Also, the kneeling down was always a ritualistic requirement of pagan gods and pagan kings against people who were then forced to deny their one true God by doing that, by kneeling before them. And sacred texts, whether it's the Bible or the Egyptian Book of the Dead, are filled with examples of people who were summarily executed because they refused to kneel down before pagan powers, and they were killed, or sometimes they were attempted to be killed. In the Bible, we have the examples of I don't know how to say it, Abednego, and two other guys. There were three guys.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Wow, you're good at that. That's good. Yeah. Yes, that's excellent.
Unfortunately, guys, we have to start wrapping it up. We have just about about 5 minutes left. So, John, do you want to plug? Do you want to plug your books? Plug any events you have coming up?
Yes. My books, I would urge people to please just go to my website, johnthamabooks.com. Or you can just Google my name, John DeSouza, DeSouza, and Google tells me most people just go to my website or get my books through Googling my name. You can pick up, and you can buy books directly from the author at my website for a 20% discount. Just use code FBI, and you get a 20% discount on my book, like The Clear Hearers, which will teach you these lessons, which will teach you the practicality of using this tool for ascension, which is just to get in touch with, because it's always reaching out for you, get in touch with your higher self, your great voice that is always reaching out for you. It's always trying to help you because it loves you. It loves you. It doesn't quite understand you, but it loves you, and it tries to help you at every turn. That's it.
Well, thank you for sharing everything today, John. It's been amazing. I'm sure a lot of people needed to hear some of this stuff, and we all appreciate what you're doing for this whole movement.
Thanks, T. Weiler, Aaron. You guys rock. You're the best, man. Seriously.
I was going to plug Journey to Truth podcast, but you already did that for us, so thank you.
Thanks, man. You guys are awesome, man. I love your style. I love everything you do, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with you soon. Also.
Yeah. Oh, same.
Yes,
Same. Thank you so much, man.
So, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and I believe Neil's going to play a few videos, and then coming up after that, we have Alan Steinfeld interviewing Brooks Agnew. So, you guys just hang around and get ready for that. It should be a great interview. And thanks again, John. This has been awesome.
Thanks, guys. Journey to Truth podcast is the best, always. Remember that, everybody. Remember that.
All right. We'll turn it back over to Neil.